Hey yo, welcome back to Right at the Wire. Well, as part of our Breeders Cup Handicapping series, today we're going to be looking at the Distaff. So let's get into it. Okay, so the Distaff is running 1.125 miles on the dirt, and it's for 3-year-olds and up, and it's a grade 1, of course. We'll take a look at the field. The first we'll look at is Hoer Philly, and this one has been to a disappointment as a 3-year-old. I think we'd all agree on that after what was considered to be a pretty good 2-year-old campaign. The Golden Run in particular was pretty impressive. And as often happens with 3-year-olds from 2 years old, I just don't think Hoer Philly has grown and progressed. And I think she was awful precocious at 2 and just hasn't followed through with it at 3. It happens. Still a serviceable horse. But I think it's fair to say that being a grade 1 filly, she probably doesn't meet that criterion. I'll expect her to be rating up off the pace and then try to make a move, as she often does at the top of the stretch, and just it won't be enough. That's the bottom line to it. And Tom Amos, great trainer, great guy, but you do have Luis Saez aboard. So I would assume that they'll be pretty aggressive, as to be expected, to try to get up on the lead. But I think it would be a big surprise if this one was able to factor. Amo Ray, trained by Brad Cox. Christophe Lemaire aboard. That is not a red flag, but that's an indication to me that they're going to be a little more aggressive than this one than perhaps they have been. This horse has been a perennial disappointment as well. It has shown, you go back to the Beholder at Santa Anita, and, okay, it was on the track, so has a victory there. Maybe that upgrades a little bit. Looked like a pretty nice win, and then really just hasn't built on it since then. Has disappointed in 4 straight races, and you just have to wonder if maybe it was a little soft field in the Beholder. I don't know, but it seems the other thing is, as the distances are getting longer, it seems to affect her as well. This one's just too much of a disappointment to get excited about, in my opinion. And you are getting 20 to 1. I could see you getting up for like 3rd or 4th, but that's the extent of it. And I don't consider to be a viable win candidate in this race. Pretty Mischievous, hasn't done much wrong this year. You see she's got multiple grade 1s. The only knock really is that the 3-year-old fillies just haven't been very good this year. That's the bottom line. Of the 3-year-old fillies, you'd have to say Pretty Mischievous, probably the most consistent, and also the classiest. She is a grade 1 filly, that's for sure. I think she can win this race. It is possible. She's coming second off the layoff, and I ran a good race in the Cotillion. It was probably a prep for the Breeders' Cup, so I'm not going to knock her for that. It was in the slop, and again, it's kind of hard to gauge a horse from that type of trip. Couldn't get the Ceiling Crusher, but was getting to her, but couldn't beat her in the stretch. So I think with another jump forward, that puts her in the mix here. The one thing I will say is that I do like her late pace numbers are getting progressively better. That was the knock I had on her early in her year. Just seemed like she, when the distances got longer, that was going to become a problem, and it hasn't. So I think that that tells me that this horse is maturing and getting better. So I'm going to expect a top effort coming in to the Distaff, and 8 to 1 I think is a good price on a horse I think can win this race. So I'll use Pretty Mischievous. Idiomatic is the one that everybody wants to talk about, and deservedly so. Brad Cox, Florent Giroux, Judmont, great connections. Won the Spinster pretty easily, and we know what this one wants to do is get on the lead and run them off their feet, and I think she's very capable of doing it. Seems to be in the best form of of all the fillies and mares, in my opinion. And the Delaware handicap, I thought that was a hard fought win. I thought maybe it took something out of her, and I was totally wrong. And the Personal Ensign, she made a fool out of me for sure. And she's just running at a really high level right now. And for a division that is admittedly weak, I think she kind of towers over this field and is the pick to win it. We'll try to beat her, but I think it's going to be awful hard. Maybe there's other speed that can soften her up, but you go back to the Delaware handicap, and that didn't seem to bother her. So it's looking, to me, looks pretty good. Adair Manor is another one who runs very similarly, trained by Bob Baffert, Juan Hernandez. She does have the home advantage, and you can see 9 races, 6 wins, 3 seconds at Santa Anita, never been out of the money, so she obviously likes the track. Really, the question is more than anything else is the class level. California horses, not quite the same caliber as the East Coast. You can see in the that these are grade 1s, but if you look, she's running grade 1s and grade 2s, but if you look at the race rating level, it's a little lower than some of the others. And so the class is really the question, whether she can do it at a higher level. She's on a nice winning streak, but so is Ida, and I don't think Ida's going to factor in the filly and mare sprint for kind of the same reason, is that this is a step up in class, and I think the more battle-tested are more likely. 4-1, I think is a little light or a little low for me. If I was going to use this horse, I'd have to have a better number than that. Really the only issue you have is that she's going to be running the same as Idiomatic next door, and they could cancel each other out conceivably. I like Idiomatic to win that war if it comes to that, and I think it probably will. And they may end up both losing because of it. But Adair Manor, I mean, I can't, because of Idiomatic, I think this one is kind of compromised. She's had it her own way in too many races, and stepping up into a much tougher field usually means a disappointment. So Adair Manor, really don't like the price more than anything else. Probably not going to use. Search Results is the hard luck customer. She always runs her race. You got to love that. She's a very honest horse and very consistent. But as has been proven, when she goes up to the grade 1 level, she falls a little short. There always seems somebody to beat her. This field is a little light in that regard, so perhaps it elevates Search Results a little bit. I think she'll be rating just off Idiomatic and Adair Manor, and then the question will be whether or not she's good enough. It's really hard to back her based upon her form. I mean, the Locust Grove, she should have beat that field with one leg tied behind her back, and that was a grade 3. And it seems that those are her winning efforts are in grade 3s as opposed to grade 1s, although she does run very good races. So this might be the time where if she rates just off Idiomatic and Adair Manor, they get into a pace duel, she'll be right there and could capitalize. It's very, very realistic, but I just her prior efforts of just falling short are what really sticks in my craw. I think you can use Search Results for underneath, and it's possible that she could win this. I think this might be the field that she could win, particularly if Idiomatic gets softened up. 5-1 is probably a pretty square price. I'd probably want something a little higher than that, but Search Results I think is one that you can use. Wet Paint I like in this race, and one of the main reasons is the running style. Of note, Recently, wet paint is starting to run closer to the pace. And that to me shows a sign that the horse is maturing. But the thing I like more than anything is this horse is pretty one-paced, meaning it looks like she's firing late and showing a big kick, but when in fact what she's really doing is staying at the same rate while everybody else is slowing down. That is the type of running style that is perfect to combat a pace stall. Being closer to the pace, she will have the jump on Clairiere or some of the other late runners, confirmed closers, and could be in really good position to take this one down. She's been off since the Alabama, where she ran a good second to Randomized, who kind of had it her own way on the lead. You're not going to get that here. You are going to have what I consider to be probably some pretty good pace. So I think the scenario is ripe for wet paint to have a good race. And at 10-1, you're getting a good price. Hopefully it would stay around there, even with Brad Cox training her. But I think this is one that's a logical alternative to Idiomatic, and I'm going to use. Randomized is another Chad Brown, Claravit Stables. To be honest, this one is a little hard to figure for me. And the reason being is that it seems the last 3 races, she's pretty much had it all her own way. And really without a whole lot of challenge on the front end. In particular, the Alabama, she just walked on the front end and that was it. You know, and you could say the same for the Beldame. You could say the same for the Wilton. You know, any horse looks great when they can get out to the lead by themselves, undisputed, and walk. The one time, you know, she had a disappointing race was the Acorn, and that was a race that she had some pace pressure. So you do have to wonder about that. And I think maybe this is a paper tiger. I thought at first it looked, you know, initially that, well, maybe she can rate just off the leaders. And I did have some thought that she could be competitive in this race, and she still can. But I just think the scenario is all wrong for her. If I have to look at an early pace horse, I think Idiomatic still is the class of the 3. And the fact that there are 3 of them makes it very difficult to get excited about Randomize when you consider that the last 3 races she's basically had it her own way. So for that reason, and the 6-1 price, which I think is I'd like something a little better than that if I was to use. Maybe if the pace is slowed down to a crawl, Randomize could stay in this race underneath. But I just don't see, I haven't witnessed enough grit from this horse to tell me that she can factor in this race. And moreover, since she's in the 8-hole and there's other speed to the inside of her, I think she has a very difficult proposition in this race. And so I probably would toss. Clairiere is going to have, I think, everything her own way, the way she wants it. She's going to have pace to run to, and she can linger at the back and close this race down. This is a great filly. She is, I think they kept her training at 5 because they want that Breeders' Cup win. They've been close, but they haven't quite got that brass ring yet. The problem she's had recently is the last 2 races she's been totally taken out of her game, having to stay up closer to the pace in small fields. And that's just not what this one wants to do. So it doesn't mean she's not in decent form. It just means that the scenario really didn't suit her very well. The personal ensign was in the mud. Maybe she didn't like it. We'll draw a line through that. I fully expect this horse to run her race. And I think she's got the type of scenario where she can. She is a grade 1 horse, no question about it. The problem I have is everybody is going to see the same thing. And so you're going to get a really short price on Clairiere. But she is a viable win candidate in this race if things do break her way. And I think she's a must-use despite the short price. And I personally am rooting for her because I think she's a great horse. But we can't go on that. We have to go on an analysis. So Clairiere to me is a use, a logical win candidate. But I might like others a little better. Desert Dawn to me represents a really viable long shot. I thought in the Philly Mare Sprint she might have a little bit better chance, but this is just as well. The Zenyatta last time she ran a really solid second to Adair Manor, and that's a couple good races in a row. So this horse is in good form. Has stayed out in California primarily, save for a couple of trips to Churchill Downs. But so class is a little bit of the issue. But this one, maybe about mid-pack, kind of like Wet Paint. And that's where I think can get the jump on the late runners. And it's going to need another move forward. But if there's any type of pace issue, a meltdown or whatnot, she's going to be right there to take advantage of it. And you're probably going to get a price better than 20-1. So just as a long shot vehicle, I think she makes some sense and one to consider for that purpose. I don't think she can win this race necessarily on her merits alone, but with the right type of scenario, she could back into a win. Lat Vita, Nacho Correas and Vincent Cheminot have been a nice combination. This one is another one that'll be coming from off the pace and is a hard trier. 6 years old, though. She's probably going to need her best race ever. And a career high at 6 is always asking quite a bit, especially when you consider back in July she ran her career best. Usually when they do that at 6 or 7, the next couple races aren't going to be so good. And that's exactly what happened, as you can see in the Locust Grove, and rebounded a bit in the Spinster. However, that's a number that's not even close to being competitive in this race. This is a late runner. This is one that, because of the late running style, that perhaps you want to use because of the value you get, and will be a little closer to the pace, so we'll get the jump on horses like Clairiere and might be able to carve out a good position. I don't think a win is very logical for this horse, but if you like her, I could definitely see at a price using underneath. So here's what we've got for the distaff. I think of the early runners, you can kind of mix and match them, in my opinion, but I just think Idiomatic is the classier of the three, and I think she's more battle-tested, and her numbers are better. That's really the bottom line. I think if there is any type of duel, that she can certainly withstand it. I'm not confident that Randomized actually getting some competition on the front end, or Adair Manor with a little classier opponent can handle it. And so Idiomatic to me is a very solid pick to win this, and is my choice for the front runners. Search Results, because of the battle-tested nature, her honest races that she runs every time. I don't think she can win this because she just doesn't seem to at the grade 1 level, and that's kind of a shabby reason. So it's possible. She's a nice horse, but I just don't think it's going to happen based upon her prior record. For the long shot play, Desert Dawn is really the only reason that she's in there. I think being just off the pace will give her tactically a good chance. If, in fact, Idiomatic gets used up by a pace duel, then Desert Dawn should be there and is in good form and apparently is training well, so gives the Californians a shot at a long shot victory. Pretty Mischievous represents to me the best of the 3-year-olds, and I think everything is should have everything the way she likes it. She'll have pace to run to. Will be sitting just off it, and perhaps will have tactically a little bit of an edge over some of the later runners. So pretty mischievous, and at 8-1, I think for a horse that's won as many Grade 1s as she has, that is a steal. Wet Paint, I think, has the right running style. I think if the pace does get a little quick, and being a little closer than Clairiere or Lat Vita, perhaps, I think that gives her a little bit of an edge, and she's just going to keep running, and that's really what it'll take, and may get a jump on some of the others. You get 10-1, pretty good value for a horse of her nature. And then finally, of course, Clairiere. We can't leave off the ticket. There's a lot of things that could be working well for her in this race, and she's awful classy. Finally, we'll get to run her kind of race, coming from the back and unleash that big kick. And hopefully it'll be good enough. I think Idiomatic is going to be able to slow things down the front end because they have to worry about Clairiere. So Idiomatic would probably be my most logical one to win this, but I think it's a fairly wide open race given the complexion of the field. So that's the Distaff, a pretty wide open race to be sure. A lot of different ways to go. Hope our analysis helps you in making your own conclusions, and I wish you the best of luck, of course, as always. If you do like content like this, of course, please like and subscribe, and thanks to all of you who have recently come on board. We really appreciate the support. There'll be more postings to come concerning the rest of the races within the Breeders' Cup, so stay tuned for that. I'll talk to you soon, and until then, be well.